In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at creating state machines. The beauty behind a state machine is in its simplicity. Now you can imagine that, say we create a character, and our character is this cube. Now, this cube can have various states. You can think of it almost as a human. So say it's a little kid, right? He wakes up in the morning, his first state is tired, or excited, or energized. Those are all different emotional states. He goes outside, he's confronted by a bully. The bully bullies him. He's either afraid, or he feels heroic, or angry. Those are all different states. So let's take a look at creating some state scripts. I'm just going to go and click on the scripts folder and delete it, and sort of start from scratch. Now within this folder, I'm going to right click, go to create folder, name it code. Within this folder, I'm going to right click, create another folder and call it states. Now in this folder, I'm going to create 3 scripts. I'm going to create a C# script called test. In this script, we're going to use it to break down and analyze our state machine. I'm going to create another folder, another script rather. I'm going to name this begin state. Then I'm going to create another C# script called state manager. Let's begin by looking at our begin state script. Let's go ahead and delete everything within this class, our begin state class. We're going to create something called a constructor. The way you do that is you do the exact same setup for any other method, but you name it the same exact name as our class. Now, this constructor, you sort of have experience with something that's similar to a constructor, and it's the start method that's pre-programmed by Unity. What's powerful about the constructor is it runs only once, and it's invoked before all other code in your scene. What you'll also notice is that the constructor has the exact same name as our class. So it's a good idea to start creating constructors. Another thing we want to do is we want to encapsulate or take all of our state machine code and place it under one umbrella. And we do that by using something called a namespace. So right now, all you need to understand, because we're going to be using namespaces more and more, is that a namespace is something that you use. You're sort of creating a name, and that name, for example, Alex, can have all of these methods and variables: height, weight, strength, attributes, and all that. And you're kind of containing that within a class. So the way you do that is by typing the following. We write the word namespace, and then we write assets, code, states. Now it's important, from what you might have noticed, is what we're doing here is we're actually typing out the folder names located within Unity. So you can see here we have assets with a capital A, code with a lowercase code, and then states. And what we're doing is now anything that's located within that folder, all of these methods and stuff, now we have access to. So the next thing we want to do is we have to actually wrap our entire class in curly braces. What we're doing by writing that is we're actually including everything within this class within this namespace. So what I'm going to do is, just so we could test the power behind this, I'm going to type debug.log hello from begin state constructor. Just to show you that once this program runs, it always initializes and runs this code first. Go ahead and hit Control S. Go ahead and open up your State Manager script. So what we want to do next is we want to add a using statement here, saying that we're going to include the all of the code located within this folder here. So all of these scripts we want to have access to, and we do that using a using statement. Now another way we can do it is by using getComponent. If we have these scripts on an actual object. But sometimes with StateMachines, or you'll see something called the World Manager, which controls all of the code in your scene, you don't actually have it attached to anything. You just have the script sitting in the folder and you continuously reference that. And you do that by using this using directive. For example, if we look at the code that already exists, we have using system. System is an actual physical folder on the hard drive. And within that, we have a class called collections. Now, collections is, again, it's a class or a script that contains most of the script that our void start and void update come from. But we don't actually have this script attached to a physical object. So by writing using assets dot code dot state, and you want to make sure that you have a semicolon here, we can now access any of the code in there. We still have to use .syntax to access it, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. So let's go ahead and create a variable that'll give us access to our begin state script. So literally, all I'm going to do here is type out begin state space active state. Now active state is able to access or it's a member of this. So you can think of it, this is our variable name with a semicolon at the end. And let's actually make this private. So what I'm going to write in my void start is I'm going to go ahead and initialize this active state equals new begin state. Actually, we need to make this state the same name as our script. IntelliSense should fix that. Let's try typing that out again. Semicolon. No real error there, so we should be okay. Let's go ahead and create a log statement that's going to tell us what object this script is attached to. Alright, let's go ahead and save that. So, these begin states, again, are not going to be attached to anything. So what I'm going to do is grab my state manager from here, attach it to my main camera, and press play. Actually, before we do that, let's open our console window. Notice that we have hello from begin state constructor that's run right away. If you look at our code, we didn't explicitly call this constructor. Notice that here we have active state equals new member of begin state. If we go to our begin state script, again, we don't have this script attached to anything. It's all controlled through the state manager here. So if we go back into the Unity reference, we can see that our next line is the object that the script is attached to is, and it tells that we're actually attached to an object. We're going to explore this further in the next tutorial.